Guys, I appreciate you coming back. I wasn't going to do a video today. In fact, you've seen there's been about 3 weeks. So I wasn't going to do a video today for a lot of reasons. First of all, it's not really a recipe. I was just making Sunday dinner. Then I kind of realized that's what this is about. 2, my mother-in-law died Wednesday morning. Granny Betty passed away Wednesday morning. So kids, when you're watching this is kind of give you a timeline on that. Assuming you're ever watching this. It's mighty bold of me. And 3, today's my dad's birthday. And it's hilarious because I'm making a meal that he would absolutely love in a way that he would absolutely hate. And I'll explain that. So I was like, I don't want to be bawling in the kitchen and on camera. And then I realized that that's kind of, not the bawling part, that's kind of what this is. And so I texted Paul, and I told Paul when we were making dinner 2 days ago, started prepping this, and I told Paul that what we were going to make for dinner tonight was I was going to teach him how to take any cut of meat and make it tender and delicious. That's what we're doing today. That's what's for dinner. You'll get to the more detail. And so as I thought about this for a couple days and how I wanted to put this on video, what I really realized was that I was doing this wrong. Because this isn't about like a video cooking class for the internet. It's not. And I said that, right? This is my video cookbook for my kids. So, I'm going to talk to the camera like it's one of them. Or I can bring one of them in. Or when I'm going to do a video for Remy about a blueberry pie. We're going to do this a lot different. And if that doesn't work for how you're here to learn, I'm really freaking sorry. Because this isn't about you. It's about them. So, because I would give anything to have videos of my dad teaching me how to do whatever. And now we have the technology that he didn't really have, so. And if that makes you uncomfortable, I'm really sorry, but it ain't about you. So I am going to leave the camera running, and I'm going to teach my son how to do exactly what I promised him to do. And that's kind of how these are going to go from now on. Not really going to talk, well, I'm going to talk to the camera if I don't have somebody here, but it's going to be kind of personal a little more. That's kind of how it's going to figure out. I haven't felt connected to it like I wanted to. If you've read my mom's cookbook, she was really connected to it. There's little stories in it, like, this is for this person, and this wasn't feeling like that to me. And that's what I wanted, was that. So, yeah. So, this is Paul. Everybody remembers Paul. Paul, this is you about 30 years ago when you come back. So, the other thing that happened this morning, which was really cool to me, is I learned what an ingredient is. I realized what an ingredient is. I'm going to teach it to you, and I'm going to teach it to everybody as I do these videos. Remember I told the camera about it earlier, I told you about it earlier. Remember about the Korean ingredient, the touch of the hand? Yeah. And I assume my absolute genius theory, because I think it exists, right? Everybody says, like, I make my mom's X and it doesn't taste like it. You've heard me say it. But I sat here this morning, and then people will come in the kitchen, we'll have dinner, and Richard likes to tell me, oh, Rob, it tastes the love in the food. That really is the translation of the touch of the hand, right? I put the love in the food. So 25 years from now, Paul, when this doesn't taste like what you wanted to, here's what you did wrong. This morning, I sat here for an hour and a half before I woke you up because I couldn't sleep. And I peeled fresh thyme off of the twigs of that stupid plastic clamshell that everybody hates to do. Because it's mild, because it's going to make the final dish better. Remember we talked about that during the fruit salad we did a few weeks ago? And how you taking the time to do everything just a little, none of the details make it better. That's love in the food. In this recipe, I peeled 4 cloves of garlic. Nobody likes peeling garlic. Can you go buy a whole garlic in a bag at the store? Yes, you can. I've done it. Chopped garlic, you've seen it, right? And what I'm making today is something I want to be special. I started 2 days ago doing it. And so that's the love in the dish, is the time I took to do the tedious things that go into the dish, okay? So, it's actually really a simple dish. Oh, I took 2 of those cloves of garlic and I put them here and I covered them up in olive oil. Funny story, the most dad thing ever I did this morning. So I went into the pantry and I went to get olive oil to pour on this, grabbed my big jug of olive oil, and I had that much olive oil. And I brought it out here and put it in there. This is good. And then I realized that I ate it and I put it in my storage. I thought Paul would be doing that. So covered them in olive oil. I just turned them on low. I left them for about an hour and a half, and they're soft. Okay, that's now roasted garlic. So we're going to do 2 things with that. We're going to take some of that roasted garlic when we mash the potatoes later on, which we'll just record too. We're kind of going to get this in the oven now. It's what, 12 a.m., right? We're going to get it in a 300-degree oven in about 20 minutes after we throw it together, and it's going to cook all day. It's going to become so good. Watch this. And so some of the garlic's going to go in the mashed potatoes that we'll make, because we're going to have roasted garlic mashed potatoes to serve kind of next to the stew, as rather than potatoes in it. The other ones, I bought zucchini, and we're going to make a kind of a diced tomato, roasted garlic, thyme, zucchini side dish, and some fruit salad. So fruit salad you'll see, but everything else we just show them. And we'll make rolls. We're going to make rolls. I think we're enough. We don't need the rolls because I'm fat. So that's what we're doing. Okay. So what I did 2 days ago is I bought these oxtails. They just came fresh out of the store, and I bought cheap meat. Now, if there is any other than tongue, it's going to be hard to make delicious. That's it. You could use this with, son, there's I can't think of a cut. If you wanted to braise shanks, if you wanted to do an old rooster, there's nothing. This method won't be good. I coarse salted it. I trimmed off all the fat and stuff I wanted off of it. Coarse salted it really heavy, and I vac packed it. Not to state the obvious, but then you have siblings. One of your siblings has a way cool backpacker than I do. There may be some competition for the backpacker in a few years. Just saying, you don't have to have a backpacker. If you're at home and you're like, I miss Dad's oxtail stew, or venison stew, or steaks, every piece of meat before I backpack it off and freeze. Those steaks that we cooked the other day, I salted and peppered heavy, then backpacked them, then froze them because the salt liquefies. I basically dry brine them, like quarter dozen ribs, like, you know, like.
Is this still in the same setting that you were talking about the other day?
Yes, like 30, like 30.
Okay.
It's like 30, like I pounded the salt.
Right, that's what I'm
down into these, but I mean, you can feel the texture, right? It's lovely, but I mean, there's meat, there's a little bit of bone. I mean, it's obviously it's bone, right? So, but it's really nice. But when you get to a cut of animal like this, you know what you want to do, right on that bone. If you're going to cook on the bone, let it go, right? I'm in. So I'm just going to dump it out into this with all the juices and salt and everything. Okay. And then let's let that sit here. We'll talk through this while I get this pan ripping hot. Now again, it's one of me. Here's the coolest part about this recipe, and we're going to talk about also ripping hot. Double X, hi, baby. can make this in a cast iron over fire. Just put the coals around. This is a camping dish. This is an oven dish. This can be very elevated to high class. I cut these big and chunky. I make them very rustic. No meat, fine dice, high-end red wine. You can make it very demi-glace instead of, right? You could really elevate this dish. We're going kind of rustic because it's me. But you don't have to do it this way. Chicken instead of beef, lamb, pork, pick your meat. Do whatever you want. If you do chicken, you do white wine. If you do, right? I threw some time in because I had time. Do you want to do oregano? Do you want to do basil? Do you want to do no freaking herbs? Cool. I added enough garlic in this that Count Dracula, we're safe for like the rest of the millennium. I had 2 whole cloves of garlic here. And you can see I left them. Look how I left them. Look. I crushed them, but they're big, right? Oh, and by the way, you see this? People throw this out. I chop these celery leaves. People throw them out. They say they're unpleasant. If I'm stewing them all day, they're going to break down nice. There's a lot of, go ahead and just try it. There's a lot of celery flavor in a celery leaf. People just throw it out. I'm like, I don't know. I've always just used it. I didn't go to culinary school. Nobody told me not to. It's a little more bitter, but frankly, it's going to pile out in this.
That's just because the leaf, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, the same base flavors there.
Right. So carrots, celery, onions, garlic. I've decided to throw a little, you know how we do my tomato sauce? I've decided to do it on this one. Dad, I hate your tomato sauce. Cool, I'll use it. Don't do it. You don't have to. You could add a little Worcestershire sauce. I make beef broth. Let's talk about that. Have you guys make chicken broth and beef broth all the time? Feel free to stir that and taste it. I think that's important so you know what I'm looking for. So in 20 years, when you go back and you're like, I don't remember how Dad's beef broth tasted, this will trigger that taste memory for you. Try and explain it to yourself because someone else might be watching this. Kate might be like, I can't remember how Dad's beef broth tasted. Tell Kate how the beef broth tasted.
Much more denser flavor. They're on the beef packet.
Okay, right. And not as there's nothing on the Asian side of it at all. It's just beef. And oh, by the way, okay, so that's kind of important. So you know I use the Knorr or the yellow packet Maggi chicken broth, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to beef broth, no one beef broth is good enough. So you know I mix and match. I use part of the Maggi and part of the Knorr. You better get that on your shopping list. Now, the other reason I got cheap meat is because you're wrong, but that thing's on. She makes a strip down chicken off the bone or fish off the bone. Right. So I knew she wasn't a big fan of oxtail, so I brought her home. She's like, my dad used to make us eat oxtails as a kid. I was like, cool, so that works. It's cheap. She'll love it. Shred. It'll be super tender. It'll be delicious. Know your audience. So when you're making this for mom, 25 years from now, cheap meat. Or a chuck roast. You know, I'm saying, whatever. Yeah, man. Knock a beer over, you're in bad shape. I'm just looking for this to just smoke a little bit. I just want to, I want to pop. I want to sear this off and drop them right back in here. And then we're going to be good. Like that. I'm going to do this big one kind of first and alone. If you don't hear that, when you lay it down in there, get it out. Just don't. If you can't hear a good sizzle, you're not hot enough. Then, get my lid. I don't really want to cover it up. I don't want to make it stew, but I also don't want fat splashing all over it. And I'm kind of set it off to the side. Bring a fat splash over here instead of dirty on my toes, but I got my cleaner. Where go from there? I'm gonna let it make hard, first of all. I'm gonna really do a little crust. It's already seasoned. It's kind of salty, I know it is. If it won't, here's how you know. You take it and you try and jiggle it side to side and it won't come off the pan like that, it's not done. Once it breaks loose from the pan up like that, easy, it's done. And you can turn it and look at that. Don't get right there, huh? I don't know where they're not from. Some cooking show somewhere. It's ready. It's as seared as it needs to be for this. Some people want a little more char. If you want more char, leave it. Cool. I'm just trying to get it, you know, get a good flavor, and I'm also trying to go people over the bottom of my pot. Go flavor with that tomato paste. Then I'm going to put the vegetables in. Then we're going to put some thyme in. Then we're going to hit it back with the meat. We're going to add the beef stock and the red wine, and get on, and bam. We're done. Yeah. I mean, it's not. When I say it's easy, I mean, it's easy. I really think we're right about, yeah. See how nice and crusty that is? Beautiful, right? It does. I mean, yeah, that's what you're looking for. So, now I got some smaller pieces. Also, viewing charge of this. This piece at about base. You're going to need this back and one more back. Like that and like that. And you put some keep the baby foot in here. And I'm doing all the time. Just kind of watch that. And I'm going to get this garlic off the stove. And yeah, we just want to crust the last of it off, and then we're going to add this. If you put this in the oil that's super, super hot, you just burn it. Which you kind of want to, but slowly cook it. You don't want to flash burn it. Right? That makes it bitter and bad and hungry and nasty and terrible. You want to cook it. You want to, you know what I'm saying, right? Yeah. Slow. You watch me do it 100 times with tomatoes. Get your tomato paste with the oil and then it's kind of turn burgundy rather than black. Instantaneous burn and everything. Okay, those little ones are done. Hold on. The little ones are definitely good. You need to kind of work your way up inside. By the time you get to the big ones, just check the bottom again. My guess is you'll move right out of it. When you hear the oil, it's good to react. Oh, yeah. Pretty much side there a little bit. Just a little bit. If you want to slice them over, I'll put this. There you go. Plenty of room. Just move it. And it'll start cooling off the oil too. Fine. They're all going back in here and handling together, right? Not like I'm going to ruin the flavor of the oxtail. Oh, there it is. Yeah, drop it in. Drop that in there. There you go. Excellent. Got this here now. So it doesn't do exactly what we don't want it to do. Wake it up. See, you can smell it. It starts cooking pretty quick, right? You know what? These are vegetables. We're going to have to go faster. We're going to let this cook in with the vegetables. This time, yeah. Again, I don't have a recipe, right? I'm kind of working off of just instinct and what I know about generally how to do stuff. So that will cool it down. All those vegetables will cool the pot, the oil, and everything down. And I'm going to turn it down to low. Just let it kind of settle in for a minute. That's nice, right? That worked. Keeps dropping. The tomato paste is exactly what we want it to do. Temperature's right now. Get some good stuff off the bottom of the pot, right? That is about perfect. There you go. Take that. Exactly that.
I will get rid of this.
See, and that's why I've always been a little afraid to like video these things, because people are like, you know, they want a recipe. They want me to cook by some book or something. And I'm like, well, this is how I cook. Sometimes I have to go, oh, that's way too freaking hot right now. Right now. I cook on the fly. So I've never made this before. This isn't a recipe for me. This is it. So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of fresh thyme in here. In fact, I'm going to sprinkle more. Because I want more in here, just a little bit on this meat. So I like you got the flavor there. Yeah. Try and explain it to your future self. Try and explain it to your siblings, because they've heard me say it however many times. And
the smell of the thyme will get you almost instantly.
Yeah,
that's what you should be adding.
Or oregano, or basil, or rosemary. I'm not a rosemary person. Or nothing. Or, I mean, pick your favorite herb. Go ahead, parsley, if you're just mild-mannered and, you know, want to be Clark Kent. You. You could do, you know what? Lemongrass. You could take this in a whole kind of an Asian flair. You could throw jalapenos in this and cilantro and knock this thing down south of the border. You could make this dish without any herbs and keep it well, and then just make it into a brown gravy and make poutine and go north of the border. This is just food. This is why we laugh about the just chicken and potatoes, right?
Right.
But that's what this is. It's just food. This is a very basic way to make something. But I like the brag. I really do. I don't know how anybody wouldn't. In fact, I think what we're going to do is just turn it back up a little bit here. These are going to cook down right into it. All right, let's get our oxtails. Actually, you know what? Yeah, we better put the oxtails first, because we want to make sure we fit everything back in on top. So, yeah, just set it all down in. As close as you get to one layer is going to be best, and if you can keep bones up and down, if you can, a little bit obviously. But on these, it would be better if it could. Because if they go over that, because your bones are going to do that, and then your meat will fall out in the sides. Dogs get a treat. Dogs get a treat. Kill. That's in there. Yep. And I don't like it. Turn it inside out here. I show this stuff out. Just because I'm alright, next. Isn't that cup of white wine over here? Listen, wine. That's a Pinot Noir. That means it's a dry wine. That means it's not sweet. Would you use sweet in this? You could. Pour all the juices in here to get all the flavor. Yeah, exactly. I'm just trying to get a nice gravy of this stew. So yes, it just depends on what you're trying to do. Pinot Noir, any nice beef breads is going to be great in this. For beef, if you're fish and chicken are white, poultry is white. Other than that, you go red. Sometimes you go white if you're red meat dish and try to stay light. Huh? Oh no, we're going in the oven. Yeah. Bring the beef broth. Yeah, this is going in the oven all day. So that you can now watch this picture. This little picture likes to spoon. So you can watch what I have to do. You have to hold this part over the bowl. So when you're using this in your kitchen 30 years from now, Dad's old stuff. Dad wants to do. See, he wants to spill on the front. It's stupid stuff. And then it also likes to do my tools, I guess. All right, that goes there. That goes there. And this goes over the sink. This goes lid on. And I don't think it's. Yeah, it is. Now those handles. this just goes right there. Done. Shut it down. See you in, 4:30 seconds, 10:30. See you in 6 hours, right? Okay, we're gonna finish up dinner. Now listen, this thing's been in the oven now for 5 hours. And as any dinner goes, you're gonna put in the oven, you're never gonna just drop it in the oven and leave it for 5.5 hours. So while you were napping, I did one thing that you didn't see. I tasted it about an hour and a half in. I wanted to make sure the balance of the broth and the stuff that it was cooking in had turned out like we wanted it to, because that's what the meat picks up, right? Right. And it was super tart. It was acidic. The tomato paste and the red wine, it was acidic. And you've tasted acidic before. Right. So I took about a half a teaspoon of baking soda, sprinkled it over the top, and I stirred it in, and it foamed up like crazy. And then I tasted it. It was beautiful, beefy. You tasted it, right? I just brought you some. Right. It's gorgeous. It's a little strong right now. It's a little strong. So if we thicken it, it would probably be a little heavy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some hot water to kind of bring the balance back to the overall gravy. And I'm going to make a roux. The other thing I did is I kind of took a lot of the fat off of the broth. You got a chair for me. So that's what this does. It gets all the vegetables and stuff. I just skim the top of the ladle, ran it here, and then I poured the broth back out. That's all the fat, but that's all that flavor we were trying to create with the tomato and stuff in it, right? Right. So I could go back in with olive oil or whatever. I just kind of prefer to go back in with what I was doing, and I'm not going to need all of it. I'm just going to kind of create a roux in this pan back here with a little flour, and then I'll use it to thicken how much I want to thicken. So I'm going to get some of the fat in the pan here. And I have plenty. I'm not even going to use all I have in the pan. And I'm going to get this off of here. Now, here's what we kind of need to do. With this slotted spoon real quick. I don't want to smash up everything, but I'm just going to take these out for a second while we create the gravy without them falling apart. There's a carrot for you. Get the carrot, boy. Get the carrot. I mean, it's your thing. Don't touch the pot, though. It's really hot. It's flaming hot. I mean, the carrots are so delicious. They're just unbelievable. But I mean, look at this, right? So you can see how just chicken and potatoes came about, right? This is just meat and potatoes, just done correctly. So let's set that over there so the meat doesn't fall apart. We're gonna go back in here. And then I got this hot water over here. Okay. Just heated up some hot water in the coffee pot. I'm just gonna give us about a cup and a half in here, really, I am. I want to kind of give me some more bulk.
Just so give us
something. That's that.
Because we just cooked it all off.
Right. I put a lid on it too, and it cooked at like 300 forever. So I really wanted it to cook down. But boy, did it ever. So don't be afraid to go back in with some of that. And I need some flour. And I'm gonna go about. Just gonna make a roux in this pan right here, real quick. Hold that for me, please. I'm just gonna make this roux up real fast in here. See that? There was a little bit of liquid in it still, but it was mostly that fat. Look how nice that worked out, okay? So, all I'm gonna do now is put this right down in here. To thicken, just thicken. Look what it does. Look, watch what just went from soup to gravy. You with me? We just made it stew. Now we gotta make a choice. Do we want to go thicker? Do we think it will thicken more when we put it back in the oven? I think it will for sure. Yeah. But are we after a stew? Get a hot pad and lift that lid. Get a hot pad and lift that lid. We're gonna have a real issue if we don't. There we go. So I just wanted to get I'm gonna serve this kind of like a stew, I'm gonna do mashed potatoes. It's kind of that one of those. I think I am gonna go just a little thicker though. Just a little. Well, dadgummit, let's taste it. Let's let how it tastes be the final. That's clean. I was gonna use it for something else. Let's see how she tastes, and then that'd be the final arbiter here. We're not touching that. We're you're not. Tell him. You tell him. I don't know how to tell him.
I don't know how to tell him either. That's the worst part about this. I don't know how to describe it.
It's beefy, but it's deep and it's rich and it's got great mouthfeel. And it's just seasoned. It's not salty, but it's not peppery. It's really well balanced. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's like right there in the middle. That's not.
Guys,
you didn't lean too hard into a stew. You didn't lean too hard into a gravy.
So guys, if you remember what I wrote after my enchilada recipe, here's the deal. Sometimes they don't turn out. Sometimes they do. Sometimes when they don't turn out, they're not going to remember the ones that don't turn out. They're going to remember this. Get in your kitchen and cook. I'm going to turn off the heat to my oven completely. I'm going to put the lid back on this, right? And we're just going to stick it back in the oven. And all its job is now for the next 30 minutes while we finish everything else is to just stay really soft and handy. That's it. We're done, right? So when we go to serve that, we're going to need this ladle. We need to get a nice hot pad for it. And we're going to serve it right here. Here's the spoon for the fruit salad. And I'm going to clean up tomato over here. Okay, so there's number one. Done, right? All right, here's number two. This is just 6 potatoes. It's just 6 potatoes. And I'm really gonna cook them until they're pretty soft. Normally I like a little more chunky potato, but today I really don't want it. So I'm gonna make sure that the biggest piece is super soft. That one still isn't. I'm gonna do 2 more minutes. I really want soft potatoes. And then that's roasted garlic with the olive oil that we did earlier, right? And milk. I did. And I salted the water. That's it.
You say that milk, is that like a tablespoon?
No, it was about a cup of milk. It's about a cup of milk and about, you can see how much olive oil it is. This was a good amount of olive oil, almost about a stick of butter worth instead of butter.
Right.
Right? This is a little more Italian, how we're going that way, right?
But you use butter.
If I was just going American and not adding thyme and tomatoes and leaning that way with garlic, then yes, I would 100% just use butter and butter and cream, butter and half, butter and 2%, 1,000%. Do I want to go with some cheddar cheese in them? Chop my cheddar cheese right in. That's exactly right. Yes. So I got my whisk over here. I got this. I use this sometimes. So you see me do it 1,000 times. Sometimes I mash, sometimes I don't. So this entire mess can go right over the sink so we don't bump it and knock it on the floor. That'd be bad. So, I mean, it's... He's not wrong. Okay, so our... Terrible, too terrible. Dip your finger in and try it, baby. Ah! You're gonna put on 82 pounds. It's just awful. So, we put this over here. I know it is. I know. So this is the last dish we're gonna do for the side dish. I was gonna serve corn on the cob, and then I realized this dish needed some kind of a crispy crunch. So I took the corn off the cob, which will make mom mad, but you know what? You know why I cook? I cook because I get to choose what comes up on the plate, right? It is. The leftover thyme we got, I sliced up some zucchini. That's about as big as they get. I want that for bulk. I told you we got the tomatoes and I used the whole tomatoes and I washed my hands and all we're gonna do is crush them like we normally do. They had a little couple basil leaves in them already. I don't care, basil and thyme go together very nicely. This is the last of the roasted ones. Yes, and I used the oil from it in my pan we're gonna use right now. So we're gonna get the carbon steel pan. We kick it on to high. Okay, I got a few capers because I want to get just a little bit of brine, not a lot. And I got we're gonna add just a little bit of Colorado chili because I just want just a little bit of heat. So we got multiple things to do all at once. I need a clean teaspoon and a clean fork. So first thing I'm gonna do, I'm literally gonna reach down in here and grab these tomatoes just like we do with tomato sauce. I want big chunks of tomato. I just gonna squeeze them and leave me with some shreds and chunks like that. I'm not looking to have it be puree. I'm not looking to have it be diced. I don't want it to be uniform and super pretty. I want there to be some rustedness to this. If somebody wants a bite of tomato on their spoon or fork, they can get one. But I also want there to be little pieces to go kind of cool spots. So once I got that kind of where I feel like I want it, and I can look at it like this and see that that's what I'm looking for. Oh, I'm like, look, I don't want that. I'm not going to serve that. Congratulations, done. That's what I'm looking for. You see those shreds? Yeah. Perfect. Now, I'm just going to rinse off my hand. I've had you do that a bunch of times for the tomato sauce, haven't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
you know, I know it's not like it.
yeah. Put some soap in that fat. See if I can't break it down. Get rid of it at some point. I mean, I don't know what else to do. It's kind of terrible. And we need this strainer. All right, let's go ahead and strain the potatoes. Let's just strain them all. Let's just go ahead and take these over to the sink, bud. You strain them right all the way out. Ooh, I'm going to pull that little piece of garlic so it doesn't burn and get bitter. Because we don't want a little bitter in there. All right, so I didn't pre-boil the corn or anything at all. It's still just fresh, raw corn off the cob. So I'm gonna put it in first. And I'm gonna actually remember how I did that street corn where I kind of charred the edges and it was super delicious? That's what I'm going for here. Oh, look, failed. Let's do this real quick. Just make sure I didn't do it anymore, but terrible. If I find them in a pan, obviously I'll get them. Strings and that are not delicious, obviously. Well, not yet. Right. Yeah. You can eat the whole thing up at some point in their life. Terrible. I may have to go to a much bigger pan, but this pan is the right tool to get the char on this corn that I want. In fact, get out that high-sided, non-stick brown pan, the frying skillet that I'm looking for, you know the one? Guess what? I found another one. Genius looking for this. That's the one. Excellent. Thanks. Put it right over here. We're not on heat quite yet. But we get there. So, flatten this now and look through it. Then I am going to salt the corn. Nice and, we're going to salt the corn. And I'm going to add just a little bit of black pepper, but not a lot, because I am going to go with the Calabrians, and we don't want to get crazy. How's our potatoes? Are they strained? Yeah. Okay, we're going to want that pot, the pan they were in. What do you do with it? Is that all right on there? Let's sit it, right? Let's drain, give me those, and then put the pan here, because we're going to mash them, and then we're going to put them here, and we're going to put the lid on them to keep them warm. Look out there, Lou. All right, so potatoes right in there. That can go out of the way. And then I'm just going to take this. Now I pre-warm the milk. The reason I do that is because if you pre-warm the milk and the oil and stuff, your potatoes don't bind up. If you put cold milk in there, it makes them they seize up, and that's not good. Right. So I always warm my milk up. And I'm just going to, I think I've got my ratio pretty dang good. So they're going to be a little loose. Well, maybe they're too loose. I'm going to take my garlic out. I roasted garlic with a lot of spoon here. I'm going to start it with that, because I absolutely am not giving up any of my roasted garlic. I worked too hard on that, right? And that's super easy to do. You can do it in the air fryer. You just roll a head of garlic up with some olive oil and a little salt. Pour a third of that in there. I put that in there and then just
salt and olive oil and wrap the foil up on it, stick it in the air fryer at 300 for an hour, and you got roasted garlic, and squeeze it out of the head, let it pop off the head. Right. Or you peel it like I did, just put it in. See, these are all the little things that I'll remember to tell you that I would never have just remembered to tell the family. That's why I like this stuff. If I'm talking to you, I'll remember to tell you stuff. So, start out a little slow until it gets started mashing. And you get it going really fast now. It is dry, give me the rest of the milk and oil. Just go right on in there. Go ahead. All of it, all of it, all of it, all of it. Perfect. That's it. And I'll put this in here. And I won't go straight to high, because if I do, it'll wear the walls. The walls will wear it. That's really nice. Yep, now get a rubber spatula and lower this and straighten down the sides. You need to get the potatoes that are kind of caught down in. All right, see my corn now? See my corn, how that's kind of charred a little bit? Got that little bit of black to it. That's deliciously. We're gonna go on the bottom and shake it and go on the bottom. That's it. That's it. Yeah, anything that's still a chunk, we're now gonna get down to not being a chunk. See, there's one on there. We're gonna continue to mash them. Excellent. All right, how we looking? Yep. Now we're gonna blast it. All right, get a spoon and taste it. Let me know what you think. All right, that is done. Now we're going to go on with this pan. The last of the olive oil. We're okay? We're okay. Do we need any more seasoning? A little salt? Because I had not salted them. I was going to say, I have not salted them, so that's what we got to do now. I would say about a teaspoon maybe to start. Maybe a little heavier. Just to start. Okay. Go one time. There you go. Should be good. And the zucchinis. So you'll take those now and rubber spatula them out into the pan, and then put the pan's correct lid on it. Hold the heat for a few minutes while we get everything else done. We are going to have this zucchini set done very quickly. Very good. Lift up. No. Lift up. Put some bigger on now. There you go. You got your rubber spatula? Here it is. Good. Oh yeah, see? All right, just in case you were wondering, I wanted a nice fluffy mashed potato. We'll put a plate together and show everybody what Paul has worked out here. Well, might be in the dish. But could just be a main dish. Nope, it's metal. Big one. Think you really love it, yeah. There he is. Excellent. Good job. All right, we're there. Now we're just throwing together the zucchini, and then we're done. So, see a little char. Whoop. No, off the shutter. I'm going to salt the zucchini now too. Salt the corn. Look at the little char already on the zucchini. Looks good, right? So we've got to start giving it some liquid. When it starts, see how that was starting? Yeah. That's what we're after here. Like the bigger ones, like the snack. I'm gonna have to throw this on red glass plate just to it's gonna be too heavy and saucy to go on. Okay. All right, if you want to go grab the fruit salad, we are there. All right, that's the last of the thyme, Paul. I'm adding that last teaspoon and a half of fresh thyme right to the tomatoes. Excellent, thank you. Beautiful. All right, now, see how they're starting to really give me some good. All right, now that they're doing that, I think we're ready to go ahead and give them some liquid to finish here. Put the tomatoes in with the thyme. Drop that. I'm gonna go ahead and give them some briny, just one fork full of capers, nothing super aggressive. What is that, maybe 20 capers? And then just a half a teaspoon of caper juice. Easy, right? Whoa, please. Good, needed my hands today. Then, see, again, I mean, half a teaspoon of collaborated chilies. Half a teaspoon. No. Those go right back in the door there. And then all of these, all of that. That roasted garlic that we made, all of it. The whole thing. That can go right in the sink. And I'm just going to kind of stir that, let it heat through. We're going to give this just a few minutes to kind of cook. And while it's doing that, we're going to pull our meat and see how it's doing. And I think we're going to be ready to eat. You can see how easy this is. I mean, how long did we really spend in the kitchen? I spent an hour and a half this morning on prep, and then I probably spent another hour peeling the potatoes and getting the stuff, the dicing the corn and stuff this afternoon. I mean, it's just, you know, I think it's worthwhile. Right, that can go in the sink, and I think we're going to want this to serve part of the, yeah, if we want meat, we're going to do that. Over there, mashed potatoes, and then I want that before I'm going to put that down, because the meat's going on it. Mashed potatoes, put them pop the lid on that and stir the fruit salad. Really nicely, just fold everything over into it so everything's glistening. Covered in all the goodness you made. That slotted spoon that's sitting right next to it is what we used on it, and you are good. Thank you. And that's really it, bud. We're done. Okay. All right, let me dump the corn in here real quick, and then we'll taste this. Ow! I think the sweetness and the char on the corn will go against the acidity of the tomatoes very nicely. I'm going to just check it one time, but if I do need to add just a little bit of, yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think if the corn or if the tomatoes are a little too acidic, but just a skosh of baking soda. If you want to put one more hot pad, or here, move that spoon and that fork, even the spoon, the spoon and the fork, everybody. it really does look. I gotta tell you, I'm almost as excited for this as I am for the dang oxtails and cheeks. But you've tasted the oxtail. Tell them about the oxtail that we taste tested. How gelatinous
It was a little vertebrae. It had a little bit of meat, and after I got to it, there was no more meat at all.
Yeah.
It was you really could, like, any ribs or like shoulder ribs or anything like that you wanted to do like that would be
100%.
phenomenal.
Okay, I want you to taste this. This is what I mean about it being too acidic. It's just too acidic. The corn adds some sweetness, but it's just too acidic.
I'm okay with that.
I understand, but here's the difference. See that much baking soda? Watch what happens. Just want you to see what the baking soda does to the dish overall. So stir it through. See all the foaming and happiness? Now watch what happens. It's really cool. What this does to a dish of anything that I feel is just too acidic, it just mellows. It's so nice. Also, I didn't feel like that seasoned well enough either. So it's getting some more salt right now. And frankly, leave it up. Get some residual heat to cook through right here, right now. So I'm going to show a fork. See for me. Now, time. You can hear it's stupid the difference, but a half a teaspoon. It's ridiculous. It just mellows it. It just makes it smoother and easier to eat. I don't know how else to explain it. It just does. It's just more pleasant. So if you get a plate, we'll plate something up, and we're gonna need you get some bowls for the fruit salad. I'll put it on the same thing. But you're gonna get some plates. We'll make you a plate and show future you how to remember what I had in mind when we did this. Don't touch this. It'll get you. So, I would suggest just take a nice lump of your potatoes here like this for you. Since you're a growing lad, we'll put some more potatoes like that on there. I think you're probably a guy that wants to try an oxtail. You don't care about it.
I mean,
a cheek.
I'm not gonna oxtail, but I will be going with that person.
Oh, absolutely. So there's a nice oxtail like that, right? Tap, tap, tap. Then go ahead and get you a little baby oxtail piece. Here. There's a little piece of Oh, there's oxtail. Yeah. Let's just see if we can find it there for you. There's gotta be pieces and parts. Oh, look at that one. Just clean that up. Some more carrot pieces. Clean that up. Then, and if you get your phone out for me, I'd really appreciate it. We'll take a picture of this, and that way we'll use it as a thumbnail so people won't have to see stupid, crazy stuff. We'll put that together like that. Dude, I gotta tell you. What do you think? Let's show the camera. Here you go, future Paul. This is what you're looking for. So, kids, I love you, and I appreciate you. If you are years from now looking at this, come on back. There's going to be more. I've got better ideas, and we're going to really personalize this and talk to you. Okay? So, the rest of you, I'm glad you're here. If you're here, listen, great. I mean, I'm down for it. But we're going to start taking some requests and doing things a little different around here. There you are, my friend.